This is the second video in the ZiptieAI video series. And in this video, I want to go through basically an overview of ZiptieAI. So in the previous video, we just skipped to getting into the Air ASAP. If you just want to, get into the Air ASAP. But here we'll go over some background information. So first of all, why you need ZiptieAI, why I created ZiptieAI. So open source software developers don't like to write documentation. That is quite a challenge. So you have to really like these open source developers because these developers are volunteers. So you really can't expect volunteers to also hand you everything on a silver platter. They don't like to write quick starts, getting started, or reference implementation guides. And this lack of documentation is a problem because, well, sometimes you have to zip tie together disparate components from many sources. And this diagram is an example. When you set up an RC and a receiver, this is your radio controller, and this is your receiver, and this is your drone flight controller. And all three of them are usually different. So it can be quite complicated figuring out how to set this up. So this following diagram right here is in my Gdrive, and it describes the whole complex setup to get this working. You've got a lot of steps in here. So you don't often have this documentation. This is not, I document it, but it's usually not documented. I document it for my reference implementation, which are these items you see here. Now, the second part is YouTube experts. They like to provide oversimplified definitive guide. So I'll give you an example here. Really great, these are really great YouTube experts, and they really are experts. But you have to understand that these guys are often running a business. It's their business, their job, doing these YouTube expert videos. And so, they get Patreon contributions, they get free stuff from manufacturers. So it's a business for them. But they always oversimplify things. And here's an example of one. One time I ran into a very unusual expert who talked about all the huge problems I had getting this set up. It took me 2 days. And he admits he almost gave up. So, and then we have our Chinese brand components. So, you got quality problems. A bad component, if you're a new person, that can mean a week of effort because you really have no idea where to start, what the problems could be. And you don't get honest information about bad components. Now, an example, with SpeedyBee products, pretty good products, but when I bought the flight controller, which is this, one of the pins on a connector here was bad. The plastic was bad. And I was almost ready to go buy a new one. And after about a day of debugging, I finally found it. I had to have a magnifying glass to find the problem. Then I had another problem I had was this video transmitter. When I bought it, I took it out of the package, it fell apart. It fell into two pieces like this. And it worked for a few flights and then it stopped working. But Amazon reviews help. Okay. Now, when I mentioned these SpeedyBee qualities in some forum article, I think the experts laughed at me until I posted the Amazon warning. So how to succeed? Well, expect to spend a lot more time. Join a club. Look for specific instructions for specific hardware. So that's what ZiptieAI is all about. reference implementations, detailed documentation. That's not the wiki, that's the Word files. The Word files are at first lab notes, but I gradually clean them up until they are really good tech documentation, step by step. Document if you do anything special, take the ZiptieAI Word files, download them, and then just paste in what you're doing as a record of how you're set up. That's really important because a lot of times you can have a problem and you're really wondering, what did I do? What was the setting? Take screenshots. Microsoft Word is fantastic. You can get all the screenshots. And finally, have the ZiptieAI mentality. If something doesn't work, try something else, right? So that's why when you look at these epics, I have, several options. Like you can do this FPV with iNav firmware, or Betaflight, or Autopilot. When you build a Pixhawk, you can do Autopilot or PX4. The idea behind this is that, look, you run into a problem and nothing's working, try something else. It worked for me. I couldn't get Autopilot to work. The motors wouldn't turn. But I went to PX4 and everything was okay. So that's why you need ZiptieAI. Now, why did I create ZiptieAI? The first thing was organize my self-study material. So I've been doing all this by myself, and so it's very important to take notes. So I got started with the drones. I was in Ukraine and in late 2023, and that's when I started exploring Ukraine drone development. And I started by doing this software in the loop, total simulation, which I thought was really important. And it turns out that it was least important. And that's where I came up with the concept for my drone studies. The ZiptieAI drones, that's where you zip tie parts together, and AI. That's where you make your drone intelligent. So to work out this whole concept and to keep track of all the details, all the examples I found in the internet, all those URLs, I had to organize my own material. The other thing is, I needed a job. I still need a job. I had a great job a few years ago, but then I got kicked out because I wouldn't take the so-called vaccine. I then worked on a couple contracts, and they ended, and then so I've been working on ZiptieAI since. And I'm hoping this would be an example of what I could do for an employer. I get a job somewhere. The previous jobs I've had have mostly been documentation that's been confidential or for customers only, and so I've not been able to post them on the internet. And to help others, there's a great drone community, a lot of interesting people, got Facebook groups and stuff, and so I'm hoping I can be an active part of that in the future. So now, the wiki organization, let me go over that here fairly quickly. So I just talked to you about the home. I talked about getting into the air ASAP. Now there's this reference section. Now, the reference section is where I talk about subjects that you might refer to when you're doing these epics later. So drone, AI concepts, basic stuff. There's a shopping list that has detailed information of all the things I ordered. I got almost everything from Amazon, and this Excel sheet downloaded from Amazon. Then we'll have tech overviews, for example, that diagram I showed you earlier. There's a document where it's very draft right now, where I'm trying to explain this whole chain of things you have to set up to get that radio controller and the receiver and everything set up. And then configuration files. This is a picture of STQ Programmer. All the drones I have in here, they all use the same STM processors. And with this STM tools, you can download the entire program that's on your flight controller, and so that you can keep old versions and just upload them to the flight controller or download them whenever you need to keep track of that. Strangely enough, there's a lot of configuration files, and YouTube experts never talk about those. They give an example about how to set up something, but they don't give you their configuration files. And all the dialogues you're going through, the complicated dialogues to set it up, all you're doing is setting those configuration file values. So that was the reference. Sorry, here I'm getting lost. Okay. And I guess that's about it, what I want to get into right now for this video. Oh, sorry. I'm on the wiki organization. Sorry about that. So now, just real quick to go over this, I'll go over this more in a later video. The rest of the wiki is divided into 5 epics. And the future videos are going to be about these 5 epics. So you're going to build a small drone like this, which is, you need the experience, getting the experience. And that drone's small and fairly simple, but it doesn't have what you need to build an AI drone, to make it put artificial intelligence. So you're going to build I built a second kind of drone that has what you need. And that's Epic 2, Epic 3. I add the AI components to that drone. I fly it. The drone recognizes me and then it lands. So I programmed it to land. So that's where you have an AI drone that can actually AI recognize objects and then do something. A very simple example. Then you have Epic 4, which is advanced AI, and Epic 5, which is advanced platforms. Epic 4 and 5 are not that important. The main thing are these first 3. That's what you spend most of your time on. So that's what I want to go through in the next video. So thanks a lot.